Yeah. बंद कर दे. Yeah, I'm just starting. Okay. Hello everyone, good morning and a very warm welcome to the UAE edition of the DigiPay Summit organized by Kalish Times. I would like to thank our sponsors, Visa, our exclusive payment partners, and Telor, our associate partner, for showing massive trust in our capabilities. The theme of 2020 DigiPay Summit is the future of digital payments. The digital payments industry has moved out from facing cash to soon replacing it, and organizations realizing this are moving aggressively to have a digital payment focused infrastructure. Kalish Times, with its expansive reach and thought leadership, has taken charge by bringing together business and technology leaders who are tasked with working out business models with a digital focus, along with the ones who've been executing this plan. The UAE edition of the DigiPay Summit plans to set the right narrative for the digital payments industries going forward. So, without further ado, let's begin. For the very first session to talk about the state of digital payments in the UAE, I would like to invite Mr. Shahebaz Khan, the General Manager for UAE from Visa. Shahbaz is responsible for overall strategy in the UAE, including business development, resource optimization, and building long-term relationships with clients, regulators, and other key stakeholders to drive the adoption of cashless payments in the market. Shahbaz has over 20 years of experience in payments business and leadership experience to support issuers, acquirers, and merchants in the region to improve their profitability and grow their business. So welcome Shahbaz, and looking forward for a deep understanding of the state of digital payments in the UAE.
Thanks. Thank you for the introduction, Mitsu. Thanks for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, evening, wherever you happen to be. I hope everybody's staying safe. And thank you for joining us for the opening session of the Future of Digital Payment Summit. I would really like to thank Kalish Times for organizing this event. It's extremely topical. I know everybody I've met virtually is talking about it. Thank you. And I know that the sessions following on from here, a lot of my friends and colleagues from the industry are speaking, great speakers. So please, I would dial into to hear their perspective. So thank you for taking the time out. It's a real honor to be here. Digitization of payments and business recovery, and ultimately the economic growth of the UAE go hand in hand, right? It's no secret that what's happening over the past 8 to 9 months have been an unimaginable experience for everybody. And I don't think anybody would have anticipated it. I have spoken to a lot of business leaders. I've spoken to a lot of our clients, and this is unprecedented. Nothing could have prepared us for this. It's the first pandemic we are seeing in over 100 years, and there is no person or business anywhere in the world that can say that they haven't been impacted by the coronavirus outbreak in some way, right? So even for businesses who spend a lot of time to have continuity plans and disaster recovery systems in place, dealing with the effect of the COVID-19 crisis has presented extreme challenges, right? And in fact, even within those, small and medium businesses have been the worst hit, and they continue to struggle as the pandemic continues. So Visa wanted to get a sense of what's going on in the marketplace, and we did we actually in fact are regularly running what we call a COVID-19 impact tracker, which is our ongoing survey of merchants and consumers across the Central Europe, Middle East, and Africa region, which we call CEMEA, one of the acronyms within Visa. And we found that 80% of small businesses in the UAE have seen their revenues negatively being impacted because of the outbreak, right? Which is no rocket science. But I think what the tracker further shows us is that small businesses in the UAE, which make up nearly 94% of the nation's total number of companies, and employ over 86% of the private sector workforce, they saw a staggering 86% fall in consumer purchase frequency during the pandemic, right? So that's a huge impact, and then being small and medium businesses, a lot of them have struggled to survive because of this. On the other side of it, when we speak to consumers in the UAE over the COVID period, we have realized that nearly 59% of them, most of the consumers have reduced their spending. And if we sort of aggregate that, they spend 59% less during the month of May. Although when you speak to the merchants, they will tell you that it's even larger than that, right? So there is subdued spending and drop of revenues for small to medium-sized merchants. But the current impact hasn't just been a result of reduced spending. Our impact tracker also finds that 80% of consumers in the UAE have made changes to their shopping behavior, right? So think about how you used to shop before and how you shop now. There's a huge change. So buying online or from businesses offering contactless payment options, there's this nervousness to touch a terminal in a shop. I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever I walk into a retail outlet, which is very rarely, I get really nervous to touch a PIN pad, which I'm not sure who's been touched by, right? So that's sort of the level of nervousness. And that's really propelled, contactless payments and e-commerce within the UAE. So as a result, obviously 50% of cash-only merchants in the UAE have suffered a significant drop in revenues during the pandemic. These numbers are extremely critical for businesses to take note, because nearly half of consumers have said in that survey that we've conducted, they've also said that they will continue this behavior. So even when things go back to normal, and inshallah, I hope it goes back to normal, consumers will still continue to shop online, and they will continue to use contactless and digital payment methods when they're in store. So this is important, because this is going to define the new reality of how consumers shop and how businesses should adapt to this new shopping behavior. We need to help small businesses get online quickly and easily, and ensure smooth and secure, frictionless experiences when they are in store. But despite the willingness of small businesses to adapt to new trends, what our study also shows that 92% of merchants in the UAE still have concerns about shifting their businesses online or increasing their online presence. And when we compare this number to globally, this is a survey we run globally, only 74% of merchants have that nervousness globally. So there is something about the merchant mindset in the UAE that will require a little bit more work. And then we as an industry, we need to provide additional support to small, medium businesses to transition to digital. So we have to find ways for businesses to go on as usual, no matter what. I mean, that's how businesses sustain, and that's how consumers sustain their lifestyle. So the bottom line is digital payments are no longer a nice to have. When it comes to overcoming challenges created by a pandemic like this, I think digital payments is almost a necessity in the way you do business going forward. Contactless payments already represent at least a third of all face-to-face transactions in nearly 50 countries worldwide. In the UAE, being a young population, we are early adopters, and nearly more than half of transactions that are done face-to-face are made using contactless cards or devices. And sellers that still have cash on delivery as their primary method of payment just simply need to think about how they can implement a contactless customer journey to stay ahead in the game. So we see a unique opportunity to accelerate digital payments adoption for benefits of consumers and businesses. I never thought that I would ever see a time where a pandemic would have propelled digital payments in this way, but here we are, right? So as we search for ways for our businesses to not just survive but also thrive today, I wanted to talk about 4 important things or trends that are reshaping the commerce landscape, and explain how Visa can help businesses and economies during this recovery. So the first one is obviously consumers are shifting to digital first commerce no matter what they're buying, right? That's very evident, it's very apparent All businesses that are focusing on taking businesses online have seen significant growth. With consumer spends shifting online more and more, I think e-commerce has become a necessity, if not the only channel to keep economies alive. So, there was a time where UAE was under severe lockdown and all you could do was order your groceries online. So that's become e-commerce has become an extremely important channel. E-commerce growth has outpaced face-to-face commerce with approximately 50% year-on-year growth. The number of first-time e-commerce users, as a new segment of population gets online out of necessity. As a payment industry, we need to make sure that the online customer experience is as convenient and secure as the face-to-face experience. And according to our study on the impact of COVID-19 on payment behavior in the UAE, 58% of consumers have abandoned their online shopping carts because of a authentication delay or a failure, right? So not necessarily a good online experience. Surveys also found that of those who abandoned their carts, nearly 35% of them actually went ahead and made a purchase, but they made it from a different site. So it's not like they're not buying the things, they're actually just choosing experiences that make more sense, they're more intuitive, and they're more seamless and frictionless and feel more secure. So for merchants seeking to deliver an enhanced online experience, Visa Secure helps make online payments more secure and seamless. We use the latest EMV 3D Secure specification. It's a technical term. Basically, it's the latest in secure online security that leverages fraud detection intelligence to verify cardholder identity and block unauthorized transactions. In order to improve security, we have also recently added new partners across the region to make e-commerce transactions more secure. By tokenizing both one-time and recurring payments made with Visa credentials through a service which we call a Visa token service. So basically what it does is that, fraudsters want your personal information, your 16-digit PAN number on the card. What tokenization does is it actually anonymizes that data and takes away that data from the transaction so that your transactions remain secure. In order to incentivize cashless options, obviously there is a new segment of consumers that are going online, and so we've collaborated with other participants in the industry, like Noon, where we have run campaigns to encourage customers to use their card online. Also for the security of the people who deliver your order, right? They don't want to take cash. They don't want to touch a card. So we have, there was a period of time where Noon only had a online payment option, and Visa was collaborating with them, incentivizing customers to put their card online, because we know that once you are used to a seamless, frictionless consumer experience, it's hard to go back to using cash. In order to protect consumers who are using their card online for the first time, we have significantly ramped up consumer education efforts with something what we call the Visa Stay Secure campaign. So the second thing, second trend that we're seeing, and what we continue to need to do is, we're seeing that contactless payment experiences are already proving to be extremely successful in addressing consumer concerns about safety and hygiene, right? So, we see consumers are demanding ways to pay that are safer and avoid unnecessary physical contact. Again, according to our COVID tracker, 2/3 of UAE consumers, so nearly 68%, said that COVID-19 has led to their first online grocery shopping experience, while 70% of them made their first online purchase from pharmacies, right? So this is, again, a huge shift for us as a result of the pandemic. So as a result of this, e-store grocery startups, apps offered by supermarkets, chains, and food delivery services in the UAE have seen their businesses boom. Obviously, all you have to do is go for a drive, and the number of bikes you see on the road is phenomenal. I think it defines the UAE in some way for me. So, there is a suddenly sharp rise in online grocery orders that even big chains have struggled to fulfill, right? So, you would have gone to your typical online grocery option, and at the peak of the pandemic, there were deliveries. You had to wait for a week for your groceries to arrive. And apps like Zomato, Talabat, and Deliveroo have started offering groceries in addition to meals from restaurants. While the RTA has also routed its fleets of taxi drivers to carry out deliveries, which is very clever. And food delivery services like Kareem now have also introduced on-demand services for groceries, medicines, pet supplies, and other essentials, aiming to deliver them in under an hour. And you don't have to look too far. I'm not sure how many of you followed the Delivery Hero acquisition of InstaShop recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, which is a Dubai-based grocery delivery platform. It got acquired for $360 million. So that's sort of enough proof for you in terms of the future of the market and the future of the industry and the success of these kind of players within the UAE. So consumers and merchants love the seamless experience, right? Of paying online, paying with a card or with a phone or with a watch. A preference for contactless payment is also seen at the point of sale, where consumers are increasingly looking to use cards and digital credentials on their mobile device, right? So when I got my new Apple Watch, initially it used to be a bit of a trick, because I work for Visa, to use my watch to pay, but and then it used to sort of get a nice little smile from the person at the point of sale, but it's become very normal now. I think everybody does it. I've seen lots of people do it. So it's becoming habit, which is great. More than half of transactions in the UAE are already made using contactless cards or devices, as I said before, and we see this set to grow rapidly. And we've seen this not just in the UAE but in other markets as well. So contactless penetration is already spiked in other GCC countries. So for in countries like the Saudi and UAE, some of the banks, nearly 60 to 70% of their transactions are contactless. Sellers that still use cash on delivery as their primary mode of payment will need to swiftly implement a contactless customer journey to survive. Tools and resources to help drive traffic are also a huge help to small sellers relying on physical presence of consumers, right? So those with no or limited digital presence. So in partnership with governments, we've raised the contactless limits. So initially, there was a certain amount of limit of transactions that you could do with contactless. Working with the central bank and the industry, we have raised those limits so that consumers are able to tap for more transactions in a seamless contactless manner. And streamlining payment processes through the provision of the latest digital technologies is one area where financial institutions can help small businesses. Meanwhile, as managing cash flow becomes an urgent and daily priority for some of the small businesses, banks can help by providing SMEs with payment options such as business cards and related payment services that support their ability to save time and money, enhance control, enhance visibility over their spending through dashboards, through data, and deliver purchasing power and business protection. This is especially important for those businesses that are used to large non-electronic transactions. The third thing I want to talk about is, people need to feel secure and they need to have immediate access to funds digitally. So many of the people most affected by the pandemic are those that are least equipped to deal with financial shocks, obviously, who haven't secured themselves against such incidents. So a secure and immediate money movement is critical to keep the economy running. This goes beyond typical purchase transactions, but it reflects the way in which people need to transfer money today, right? So we are particularly focused on relieving financial pressure faced by blue-collar hourly workers. To support and accelerate cashless payments and digital financial inclusion in the Middle East and North Africa region, we recently signed a landmark deal with Kareem to help their captains, across 5 countries, get instant access to their earnings, to their daily trip earnings, because these are people who survive on them on a daily basis, and they need access to their earnings on a real-time basis, and help solve them for the liquidity challenges. So we've also Visa Direct, which is a service, is also capable of taking those earnings and helping them remit those earnings to their loved ones back home. So that's another seamless experience that we're working with our partner Kareem on. You know, we're seeing an increasing demand for digital P2P payments, and this is an area which I think requires focus in the UAE. We've got a lot of penetration of e-commerce. We've got a lot of penetration of contactless payments. I think the next thing that we need to think about is how we can enable person-to-person payments within the UAE, and I think that's going to be the real game changer to drive digitization of payments, and also help in an environment like COVID where you don't want to deal with cash. So the last point I want to talk about is essentially partnerships are becoming the best way forward for businesses, small or large, to recover and thrive. Given how consumer behavior has been impacted by COVID, we need to help businesses of all sizes to get online quickly and easily, and to ensure a smooth and secure experience. So partnerships will be critical to achieve this important goal. So, you know, the way we have responded is globally, Visa Foundation has granted $200 million over the next 5 years to support small to medium enterprises globally. We are making relevant investments here as well in the UAE. When we look at recovering from the pandemic, you know, to enable e-commerce, as an industry, we need to support businesses of all sizes to get online, and Visa can help acquirers with our suite of products built around our payment gateway, which is called CyberSource, which enables online payments and keeps them secure. And you know, and as we come again in looking at recovery, one of the advantages of digital payments over cash is that it actually you know, generates a whole lot of data. So data is extremely important. It's the new currency, as you might have heard somebody say before. The merchants that accept electronic payments can actually use that data to drive significant value to their business by driving offers and driving loyalty among their consumers. So I think that's something that businesses should think about increasingly. And Visa can help with that. We have analytics platforms that can be leveraged to provide data insights to merchants and businesses. And as we thrive, you know, we see that the role of government is also crucial going forward. So in the UAE, Visa is partnering with the Dubai Economic Department to help grow the e-commerce sector by encouraging more merchants to take their businesses online and educating consumers on the benefits of digital payments. So look, ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic has pushed companies of all sizes and shapes, right, across all sectors to transform out of necessity and at speed, right, with few resources, proving that the process did not require many years or massive budgets, right? So everybody can do this, and you know, we all have to prepare to rapidly reimagine and revise our models and ways of working within our businesses and the wider community. While all forced transformations and shifts in consumer behavior present challenges, they also present enormous opportunities for all of us, including small businesses. These businesses account for more than 90% of businesses worldwide, and global economic recovery and job creation is extremely critical on their sustainability and ability to grow. So I hope I've painted a sort of a picture of the current landscape. I just want to close with a couple of recommendations. To drive to help support our partners and small businesses. So you know, drive e-commerce, as I mentioned earlier. A channel keeps economies alive. Therefore, we need to encourage the industry standards that will improve consumer confidence and better integrate UAE's digital commerce with the global economy. We need to drive more contactless. Consumers are demanding this. They are used to it. So I think that's the technology that we should really focus on and support the acceptance and adoption of contactless. Support businesses of all sizes. And underpinning all of this, we need to ensure that all these digital transactions are kept secure. I'm out of time, and I know that Mitsu wants to squeeze in a couple of questions if she has the time. So I'm going to stop here and take any questions if you have, Mitsu.
Thank you, Shahebaz. In fact, we have a lot of questions, but my next session is already begun. So we will be able to answer the question, Shahebaz, in the chat box. I've already approved the questions. They're there. You will be able to answer all of them. I'm extremely sorry. There were some very questions.
I will respond to them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shahebaz, for it was a very informative and extremely relevant start to the UAE edition of DigiPay Summit. I would request all the attendees to please move to the next session by clicking on Join the Next Session tab. Thank you, Shahebaz. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Mitsu. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.